So the things that are keeping you from being advanced in your processes that you're in, whatever the process is, you got to go attack them. If punctuality is a sign of your immaturity, then you need to attack that. And ET is like, you got to go read the books, create the habits, and live out this daily life of anti, late behavior, like an anti-late thinking. You have to go to war with those things that you're immature about. I took that to heart, years ago, because I realized like I did want to advance, and not because somebody called me immature, or not because I wanted to be called mature. I just wanted to be at the highest levels possible in the process that I was in, that I put myself in, or that God put me in. So that was a choice for me. Welcome, everybody. This is Entrepreneurial, the Curious Entrepreneur. I am exhausted. And I've been thinking a lot about topics so that I can be better prepared for this week. So we always talk about seeking wisdom, taking risk. Wisdom is what I'm after at this point right now in this period in life. I've taken a lot of risk already, and it's kind of opened some doors, made some things move, which is great. But I realized like once you take the risk, you got to have wisdom to keep it going. So the wisdom I want to share with you is based on the idea of like maturity. I was going to talk about numbers and I was going to talk about balance today, but I think maturity is like really on my heart. So take the business thing out of it. Just take the idea of entrepreneurship out of it for a while, and just think about maturity from a standpoint of what you think you know about it, and then think about the moments in time when you've had to mature really fast and you didn't know it was coming. Does that make sense? All right. So we talk about maturity basically about childhood. That's it. Are you mature, immature? In school, they'll call you immature because you act a certain way, laugh a certain way, play a certain way, whatever. And throughout life, you're not going to hear it much more once you get out of grade school, maybe college, immature, mature, whatever. You'll get married at some point, possibly, and you'll hear from your spouse, "Oh, don't act immature, act your age." Okay, so that keeps rolling and rolling and rolling, and I started to realize like nobody ever really talks about maturing as an entrepreneur. So if you go back to where you weren't an entrepreneur, take that idea and now let's marry that with like right now, you're being called mature or immature, one of the two back in the day. Now, you're dealing with the same thing. So nobody's calling you that. You're having to acknowledge it. So that's what I'm talking about. Can you acknowledge your level of maturity and what it means to be a mature entrepreneur or an immature entrepreneur? I think we all have versions of ourselves that are more mature, less mature, and characteristics that are more mature, less mature. But it's hard to identify it from introspectively. You almost have to have somebody tell you like, hey, you're being really immature right here. But sometimes we just don't have those people. So now we have to like just make the decision. Is this mature or immature? What am I doing? Is my behavior something that denotes somebody who is developed mentally, emotionally, fiscally, everything? If you look at the definition of mature, I just pull it up right here. Fully developed physically, that's not going to help you in business. Having reached the most advanced stage in a process. Now that one I like. Then they say, well, what's a mature person is fully developed and balanced in their personality and emotional behavior. That's way more subjective. Dictionary definition, having reached the most advanced stage in the process. Let's be really honest. Have we reached the most advanced stage in this process? No, we haven't. We haven't. If you're listening to this podcast you're probably like me in that you're trying to find maturity. You're trying to get to that level of like, hey, I'm doing the right things and I'm pushing really hard. I'm doing my best. But in reality, 99.999% of us are not mature in business. I listened to Richard Branson and, you know, disregard money as a sign of maturity. Um, this guy's still growing up. He's still growing up. Richard Branson is a brilliant guy, but he'll tell you, he's like, I made some decisions that really were dumb, but I knew that and I did it anyways. Um, he's acknowledged that he hasn't reached the most advanced stage and he embraces it. And that's kind of what I want to challenge you to do today is acknowledge where you are and just be okay with it. Hey, I'm immature in this way, this way, this way, this way. And quit trying to fake it because it never works. I mean, I'll tell you, like personally, walking into a room, trying to talk a certain way, trying to seem a certain way, wanting people to think I'm at a certain level. You do all that, and guess what? You don't get the deal. It still falls apart. You know what I mean? And I know you guys feel that. You do all that work, all that effort, trying to be mature. You're looking so advanced, and then nothing happens. The response you get doesn't match the desire you had. So maturity, I think, it goes back down to grace. Like, what do you need to know to actually take action on what you hear on these podcasts? From me or anybody else or in life. Yeah, you're immature. So what? Acknowledge it. Great. Smile about it. Now let's move forward. What do you do when you're immature? The ET, the motivational speaker, he was like, whatever flaws you have, you got to attack them. With this more or less a life or death attitude, you got to attack them. So the things that are keeping you from being advanced in your processes that you're in, whatever the process is, you got to go attack them. If punctuality is a sign of your immaturity, then you need to attack that. And ET is like, you got to go read the books, create the habits, and live out this daily life of anti, late behavior, like an anti-late thinking. You have to go to war with those things that you're immature about. I took that to heart, years ago, because I realized like I did want to advance, and not because somebody called me immature or not because I wanted to be called mature. I just wanted to be at the highest levels possible in the process that I was in, that I put myself in, or that God put me in. So that was a choice for me. And that choice started though with understanding that I'm immature and embracing it and looking at all the things that led up to it. And then deciding for me that I wanted to do better. Financially, I was pretty immature. I kind of still am. I'm learning a lot about money when it comes to business. But I'm telling you, like, if you think you've arrived financially, some of you might be there. I don't know. I'm just not. It's just not something that I've been so interested in that I'll just go to war against the things that are keeping me from progressing in that space for a long time. But this year I did. This year I brought in a guy and allowed him to go through my books, allowed him to see behind the veil. Oh my God, I hated it. I still hate it because I now have to answer for everything. Now I got to, you know what I mean? I got to tell the truth. Like, hey, I could have done better with the money and I could have done this better, that better. And that maturity that I'm seeking involved me acknowledging and then accepting the help to be more mature and going to war against the things that were keeping me from taking those two steps. And hey, if you're listening to this podcast, I talk about this conference a lot. There's all the stuff that I want to do, and in time it'll come. But for the moment, if you're listening to this and you're looking to either be more mature, you go into that next level in the process, be more advanced. If you're looking to to deal with those things that are keeping you from advancing. Go back to your childhood. Go back to what oh, you're immature, you're mature. Go start right there. Go all the way back and then work your way back up and see what kind of behaviors you've exhibited all the way up to this point. Are you playful? Okay, it's not a bad thing, but is there a right time to play? Is it keeping you from advancing? Maybe not. How do you handle money? That's the one thing. How do you handle responsibility? Are you on time? That I fought punctuality. Like that was a big battle for me and kind of growing up and making sure, just like that movie, the Drumline movie, the band director is like, hey, if you're on time, you're late. And if you're 10 minutes early, you're on time. Like that's a sign of maturity, understanding that you can't be selfish with anybody else's time or your time. So that's really it. I don't want to go too long today. I just want you to know that, hey, take the grace. This is the grace is available for you. You're immature. So what? Celebrate that and celebrate the stuff you're mature in as well. But then let's go to war with the things that are keeping us from advancing, no matter what it is. I don't care. Ethics, integrity, character, activities, habits, doesn't matter. Thoughts. Let's go to war. This is Randall Cottrell, the Curious Entrepreneur. And we'll talk to you next time.